It is the next morning, and yesterday afternoon, while episode number 7 was uploading onto YouTube, I was down here finishing the other 3. And I did the other 3 pretty much the way you saw. Not a whole lot different. I had no problems. There was no unusual catches. Now, mind you, I did take the time out in between each one to sharpen the scraper. If the scraper is as sharp as possible, I find that I have less chances with catches or blowouts. Well, it only stands to reason. If it's sharper, it's cutting better. Anyway, well, maybe I should say it's scraping better. I'll be the first to admit it's maybe not the best tool to use, but it works for me. Yeah, so anyway, today, let's see if we can get the finish on. Now, I want to explain why I was doing the air hose thing there a minute ago. Whenever I segment something like dark wood with light wood, and especially if one of them happens to be a bit porous, like this monkey wood here, it's porous like mahogany, and it reminds me a lot of mahogany. It sands the same, it turns the same, and to a certain extent it even looks the same. But yeah, anyway, what happens is when I do the sanding, the light powder gets into the pores of the dark wood. Not so much the other way around, but that's why I was doing the air hose thing. Just sort of, clear these pores out so that when I put the finish on, there's a very distinct difference between this one and this one. It's not so important with the yoke. Now, in this series, I've been talking mainly to the members of the Facebook group. And I know that most of my regular viewers, this is all old stuff to them. And they know what I'm talking about when I talk about CA glue. Well, it's kind of like crazy glue. In fact, it is crazy glue. Only it's the industrial version of it, I guess you might say. And this is the thin version. It's very, very thin. It's almost like, I would say it's like paint thinner. It soaks into wood really, really good. And because it soaks into wood really good before it hardens, it strengthens the wood. Now, that's just my personal opinion. Other people might disagree. However, I like to use it for that reason. And when I apply it, I apply it fairly thickly. And it will have a tendency to wick its way down into the crack here, like where the bushing would be. Because the easiest way to apply this stuff is, well, as turning on the lathe. But as I mentioned yesterday, I think it was yesterday, if the CA glue gets into the crack here, down in here, it will glue itself between right here and the metal tube. It actually glues itself really, really hard that way. So I'm thinking, wouldn't it be nice if it was possible, let me get this apart here, wouldn't it be nice if this could just sort of suspend in midair and there was nothing touching the ends and it just sort of turned in midair? Well, I'm going to try and do the next best thing here. I'm going to try and make up a mandrel that won't be touching the ends. Okay, now those of you who have watched a lot of my pen turning videos, you've heard me say this, probably to the point of exasperation, and I say something to the effect of always order the extra brass tubes. Well, I did. Yeah, this is an extra brass tube, exactly like this right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this one to do my measuring from, because it's going to be the same. Yeah, exactly the same. Well, it should be. Anyway, and the reason I'm going to be doing that is because I'm going to be working on a lathe that is pretty greasy. And I don't want to be getting grease off the lathe onto my fingers and then onto this nice wood. So anyway, oh, and I got a piece of wood here. I went through my scraps. Here's a piece that was turned down from before. It was almost the right diameter. Just a coincidence. I just got to take it down just a little bit more, and well, let's go do that. Now, some of you are probably saying, Ron, you can't turn wood on a metal lathe. And I'm going to say, why not? Anyway. Oh, and look, it's already got a hole in the right place here. Now, I'll be the first to admit that, well, yeah, wood is not gonna turn as accurate as a steel bar will. First time there's a little change in temperature or humidity, it gets out around, but don't want it too tight, it'll split the wood. Gotta remember, I'm not working with steel here. And we want to put in a different kind of cutter. Certainly don't want this one. I was just noticing the other one is the parting tool. I don't see any reason why I couldn't use that. I know some of you are going to say, Ron, you just can't give up the scraper habit, can you? Now, there is one thing that I do have to be really careful of here, and that is that I don't be getting a bunch of dust in the headstock there. There's a bunch of little gears in there, and they're all greasy. And anything greasy, as you know, dust will stick to it. So, yeah, this sort of helps. Keeps the ambient dust out anyway. The chips are going to fly around, but I'm not too worried about chips getting inside the headstock anyway. It's that fine powdery dust. So I'm upstairs a few minutes ago editing out the last few scenes here. And that's the way I do it. I'll shoot a little bit, then I'll go edit, then I'll come back and I'll shoot some more, and helps pass the day. Anyway, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking it just doesn't sound right. Something's missing. And then all of a sudden I realized, where's that infernal ticking that drives everybody crazy that I normally hear? Could somebody go find the Royal Clockwinder, please?
That's you, Fatso!
You know, it's really hard for us royalty to find good help these days. The Clockwinder, well, he's probably out on another drunk. And as for the rest of the staff, well, I gotta put up with this kind of cheek all day long. You know, it's my own fault. I've only got myself to blame here. I lost all control once I let them unionize. Okay, 12:56 and a half. Alrighty, that's the actual time today. So I guess I got 2 or 3 hours yet. Hopefully I can get this turned down. I'm wasting a lot of time here, aren't I? I guess you've noticed I've changed my mind again about cutters. Okay, so I want to take it down to about 1218 thousandths of an inch. Lock that in place there. I can take that off. Right here it's just right. but where I want to just write is a little bit further in here, so now this is going to take a few minutes. That's one thing about this lathe, that's against this lathe rather, is that it is very, very slow. Precise, but slow. I hope I didn't make it too small. I think that's going to be just right. Well, the rest I can do on the other lathe now. Okay, you see this line here? Well, my plan is to take it down considerably this way, probably to just maybe 3/4 of an inch in diameter from here this way. Well, what I'm planning on doing next, it's going to have to wait until tomorrow. I'm starting to get tired. Yeah. See you tomorrow.